A landmark referendum on mass migration is set to take place in Switzerland. The Swiss People's Party, SVP, the most popular party in Switzerland, is pushing for the vote. If enacted, Switzerland would be forced to withdraw from or even completely abandon international treaties on migration should its population exceed 10 million. SVP National Councillor Thomas Matter has sounded a red alert over levels of mass migration impacting Switzerland. If Switzerland grows so strongly again over the next 20 years, everything will collapse, said Matter. According to him, the country's financial reserves for education, health and transport are exhausted. One of the primary justifications for the referendum is the need to limit population size to protect the environment. As Remix News notes, left, liberal and green parties across the Western world have simultaneously called for Europeans to have fewer children to save the environment, while promoting mass immigration from Middle Eastern, African and Asian countries, with these newcomers known for their notoriously high birth rates. The right, if it wants to survive, may have to tie environmental causes and climate change, which the youth of Europe overwhelmingly believe is occurring, to soaring population growth through immigration. The Swiss referendum may be a nod to a growing reality. Any referendum that calls for immigration restriction is likely to fail given the growing pro-migration youth vote, but if it can be tied to green causes, such a referendum may have a chance. Despite being a densely populated, tiny landlocked country, Switzerland's population has increased over the last 20 years by 21%. It has a population of less than 9 million, yet imported almost 150,000 people net last year. Much like the rest of Europe, Switzerland's attempt to prove that diversity is a strength hasn't exactly gone to plan. Data released last year by the Swiss Federal Statistical Office found that 2/3 of inmates in Swiss prisons were foreign nationals, with Algerians comprising the highest number. Algerians were 10 times more likely to be imprisoned than Swiss nationals. Migrants from Africa also have a welfare rate of 34%, causing a massive drag on the economy. Maybe the Swiss are trying to emulate the Czech Republic, whose population has remained constant at around 9 to 10 million people for the last 100 years. Unlike other European countries, which continue to sacrifice their identity and social cohesion in the name of chasing endlessly higher GDP figures, the Czechs have managed to maintain a high standard of living without constantly having to import waves of new people. People across Europe are finally waking up to the fact that flooding their countries with waves of minimum wage migrants to fulfill roles that their own native population refuses to do just wasn't worth it. It's no exaggeration to say that things are getting scary out there. The Biden administration has already printed more money in the past 2 years than the previous 100 years combined. The national debt just hit a record $30 trillion, and inflation is the highest we've seen since 1982. If you have retirement savings, your money could be at serious risk. They're basically burning your cash, torching your family's financial future. Are you going to let them destroy everything you've worked for? Or are you just going to sit back and become a victim of the deliberate decimation of your living standards? Are you just going to submit and eat the bugs? Don't do that. Or are you going to take positive action by safeguarding your economic security? Talk to my friends at Goldco to see how you can protect your retirement with gold and silver before it's too late. Go to paullikesgold.com and they'll give you $10,000 or more in free silver when you open a qualifying account. That's paullikesgold.com. You've seen how much I get demonetized. The best way of supporting me is by supporting my sponsor. So click the link in the description for paullikesgold.com.